You know, I was often asked, yeah, you're getting up in age. You know, how do you stay happy? How do you stay positive? Well, there's a lot of ways around that. Now, I'm not to say every day is always a good day. I'm not going to say that every day's got a rainbow. I mean, I've been around the sun a few years, and in my age, I guess I've come to realize a few truths that just don't go away. Or maybe you just don't want to let them go away. Now, the trick to staying happy isn't always, give and take, give and take. I've done that. You know, all my kids have grown up. I wish sometimes things would have been a little different, but that's another story to tell at another time. But I guess what I'm here for today is a lot of people would ask me, it's like, how do you keep it together? How do you keep from, you know, what do they call that? Self checkout? How do you keep from doing that? Well, that's a good question. And I guess maybe it's just the mindset. You see, a lot of people, they got something they can fall on, fall back to a hobby, maybe a boat, or, anything like that. And that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. But I guess what I'm getting across, it's like for us men now, we're single. A lot of us now in our 50s. I'm 55. And I could see there's a growing trend of, I've been in the dating pool and, I've stuck more of than my little pinky in it, that's for sure. But often I found a lot of things lacking. There's a lot of things that just are not what they should be. Everybody's out for reasons of their own. Lord only knows what some of those things are. I remember when, I was about 20, 21, when I first hooked up with this woman, and, I settled down to make my life with her. Well, I guess a lifetime is probably only about 11 years. And, yeah, I guess a lifetime must be something like dog years. But, three children all grown, you know, 30 some years later. My oldest now, he'd probably be 35, 36 maybe. Children of his own. Same with all of them. Two sons, daughter. Daughter, she's still the smart one I'm thinking out of them. She hasn't. She's 26. Kind of seen somebody, I guess. But she's smart. She's no kids. She's taking her time to make those decisions. And I have to admire that. That's very good thinking. Same in of herself and what she needs without some other soul cluttering, her thinking up, muddying the water. I got to admire that. So I got asked one day, it's like, well, geez, how come I ain't settled down with, sweet little Philly and someone to make my meals when I come home and keep my bed warm at night. But maybe sometimes those are things that a person can look for and you just find them very hard to find. Just a minute. Let's card it. Wasn't that a quick one? Car went by and blew it right off the stand. Sorry about that. Anyway, not to stray from the fact or the topic, I was asked, okay, you're 55, how come you ain't got a good woman? Share these things beside you. Well, the fact is, there is no more good women out there. At least not around here. I'm from Atlantic Canada, by the way, New Brunswick. Now, before you go railing and start going fucking crazy on me and, you know, all the fucking butthurt fucking comments, allow me to continue. You see, for the most part, everyone around here, they're all small communities, pretty well buttoned up. Everybody else knows each other's business, even if they're not supposed to. It also seems they also can't mind their own business. So, whatever didos a person may have, it certainly doesn't go unnoticed. But everybody's just looking for the BBD, the bigger, better deal. How can I get this? How can I get that? How can I get this? How can I get that? Yes, it's an echo. It's like a friggin' water wheel, just keeps going round and round and round and round. The water keeps passing underneath, but that wheel just keeps going round and round and round. And that's just the way it is. That's how people are. Not the water, the wheel. Stuck in the same old routines, stuck in the same old patterns. And I just don't want no part of that. Everybody's got their own problems, but people don't come together like they used to. People don't, in times of need and sometimes even times of happiness, people don't come together because nobody gives a goddamn what anybody thinks or how they feel anymore. And mostly it's because of social media, because nobody gets out anymore, especially around after COVID. Ain't nobody want to do anything, let alone going out to the dances and all that sort of thing, maybe a nice fine dinner. And yeah, I did like going to the bars at one time, but well, we all know what you find at those places. They're just watering holes for bad memories and bad ideas. You know what I'm talking about? So I guess staying alone is the accepted norm these days, which I'd rather stay alone. I can wake up in the morning, my shoes are where I put them, my coffee cup is on the sink exactly where I put it. Everything's where I put it. And I don't have to worry about anyone moving my shit around or me having to ask where I put my goddamn car keys. And I like it that way. I guess I've come to accept that I don't need anybody nagging at me first thing in the morning before I finish my coffee. But what I need to do that day, or what I'm supposed to be doing that day, or what they want to do that day, person gets tired of doing that shit after a while. Always answering for yourself. Always having to defend your decisions, your choices. That ain't no fun. Oh, but of course they'll say, well, that's commitment. That's what a relationship's supposed to do. A relationship ain't supposed to drive a wedge in between two people you can't even drive a Volkswagen over. You know what I'm saying? Shit don't happen. Things don't happen that way anymore. Back in, at least in my time at least, things could be fixed. Just like them old square body Chevs. You knew what was wrong with it. You knew how to fix it. And that's what you did. You didn't throw it away just because maybe a tie rod went. You went down to the hardware store or the auto zone or whatever the hell you want to call it. You got that part and you came home and you fixed it. That's what it was all about back then, about fixing things, not just throwing them out when it's no longer useful or convenient. And I think maybe that's where we all went wrong, is with that kind of mindset. The throwaway time, careers, relationships, friendships, and all for what? Still chasing that almighty dollar, trying to look better than everyone else. Let's keep talking about it.